Hey guys, welcome to a new video. We're gonna go through everything and I'm also gonna show you something interesting about altcoin rotations at the end. So if you like the content and you want to support me, check out the partners below and let's get straight into it. Not too much to say about Bitcoin, honestly. Like obviously we know high time frame trend is up. We're now consolidating against this 52k horizontal level, which is the high from about 2021 here in December. We've been just chilling here for a while, and obviously this was a big level, and it makes sense. We kind of just slow down a bit after the big rally we had. Not sure in the short term where this wants to go. I have mostly been focusing on ETH, as I think ETH will keep outperforming for a while, which I've been saying for some time now. And so far, as Bitcoin is consolidating here, we see ETH indeed outperforming, but we're gonna go into that shortly. In case of downside, I would look for a 48k retest. Not sure if we're gonna get it, but that would be the next level of interest. And if we do break higher, I would be looking for approximately a move to about 57 or 58k. Because at 57, we also have the 0.786 FIP. So yeah, you can see that's some decent confluence around this level, and that would basically be the last major level, but besides maybe 65k until autumn high, but we're not going to go there in one line, obviously, like in one straight line, but eventually, over time, I do think we can look at those targets. But for now, I think Bitcoin is just consolidating, and we'll have to wait and see. The ETF flows have been kind of steady, like towards the upside. So we had one small minus 30 million net outflow on the day. And then after that, it was followed up by two bigger 250 million inflow days again. So in that regards, we're still going strong. So let's see how that goes this week. ETH, it's a lot stronger, as you can see. Like it's been slowly grinding back up while BTC has stalled. This is the main level I'm still watching for in the like short to mid-term here. The 618 on ETH, which is between like 3,300 and 3,500 or so. I think we can easily get here if Bitcoin just consolidates where it is right now, as ETH BTC is going up in value. So ETH is gaining relative to BTC. And you can see here this 0.618 level on BTC. We've gone long past that. I mean, we touched that already by the time we had the ETF approval. So ETH still has some catching up to do to get to that point. EPTC, now against resistance again, even though it is diagonal, it's a bit messy. But so far, it seems like we're moving from this range low. We made a proper, so this was our low, and now we made a higher low. And now the key is to try and take out this higher high as well. And then eventually, I would be looking at this mid-range here. So between like, let's say 6.5 and 6.9 or so, it's the main area I'm looking for in the midterm. Obviously, with ETH BTC going up a bit, we see Bitcoin dominance go down a bit, but still it's kind of holding on here. Although I feel like this wants to head down for a while. It will depend entirely on the ETH BTC chart, mostly, as that contributes to most of the Bitcoin dominance. And at some point, if we were to fall below 48 like this, I do think that would mark or like kick off proper alt season, which is not something we've had just yet. Yes, we have seen like a lot of altcoins outperform and certain sectors like AI doing incredibly well. And during a bull market, if you choose right, there's gonna be some altcoin outperforming all the time. But we've not really seen like a proper altcoin season where everything outperforms Bitcoin and just goes crazy, similar to this kind of period here in 2021. That's when the things just go insane, and it's also after that like it's a fun time. You can make a lot in during that time, but obviously by then you're gonna have to be a bit cautious afterwards because it's usually followed up by some kind of bigger correction. But for now, I mean, as long as Bitcoin dominance stays strong, it means most money is flowing into Bitcoin, which makes sense with the ETF, but it's also showing like a more healthy market, I'd say, than when we get like a full altcoin season. So it's it has its upsides and downsides. Like you can make a lot of money during altcoin season, but it also tends to be like a later stage of the cycle or like mid-cycle. Total one, so this the entire market cap, still solid. I mean, these levels being respected very well. Just looking for this 2.1 trillion to get tapped at some point in the future. Same for Total 2. It has a bit more to go, but this is excluding Bitcoin. So maybe if ETH indeed starts outperforming or keeps outperforming, then we can tap approximately this level not too much later than this one. Obviously, this will get there first, but I think it will catch up a bit. And Total 3 is behind even more, but this will only really start going hard when we do get that alt season I was just mentioning, which until now, I mean, there's no reason to think we get it. At some point we will, but I'd say just wait for confirmation in that regard, because for now it's just been small periods of altcoin outperforms for like a few weeks, and then Bitcoin takes off again and takes the show, and it's been going like that for, let's say, the past 4 or 5 months now. Then the most important coin, or like the most interesting coin of this week, is definitely Uniswap. So there was this proposal that's probably going to be voted on now by the governance, like the voting thing within the governance section of Uniswap. So the proposal was that they're going to implement some kind of fee sharing measure. So like if you're staking or holding Uni, you can share in the protocol fees it generates. So of course, we know Uniswap is massive. It does like 1 billion in volume each day, of which they take a lot of fees. But so far, the Uniswap token itself has been kind of useless. I mean, you could vote on proposals like the one mentioned now, but besides that, it was kind of useless, like most governance tokens are. But if they were to actually implement this and the vote goes through and they can just manage it all with regulatory things, that would be a big step, and it would make also other previously kind of useless governance tokens might see them to make the same step as well. So with that, we saw most DeFi coins, but obviously mostly Uniswap just pump. I mean, from here to there in like 2 hours time, we did 75%, which is kind of massive on such a big coin. It broke out of like a multi-year range, and I mean, it's basically back to, or it touched back to 2022 levels. So that's kind of crazy. And yeah, we'll get into some other coins in a bit, but this took the entire DeFi sector with it. And of course, the view is also, or like the eyes are also on other coins that are having these massive revenues, but aren't sharing just yet, like Lido, for example, earning a lot of revenues, but token holders don't get anything. Blur, same thing for now. The founder of Blur, Pacman, actually said that this was a nice proposal and that the Blur community could learn from it. So I think he's kind of saying like, okay, we might be open to this as well. But I feel like these things are mostly coming down to the regulatory issues they might face if they implement something like this. Because, of course, you have the securities law, and when you give a yield out to your token holders, all that kind of stuff, there's like a lot of things that come with that. So maybe they know or they made some progress in that regard, and they can actually go through with it now. Hence the proposal. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But for now, kind of crazy of a pump, and let's see if it can actually kick off further kind of DeFi season, which we've not seen in a long time. We had it in 2022, DeFi summer. 2020, not 2022. So that's like 4 years ago by now. Since then, most of these coins have kind of been underperforming most of the market. So let's see if this was just a one-time pump or if it can actually pull through. I think it will kind of come down to whether these changes will be implemented or not. Another interesting coin is, of course, Rcoin. This thing took off last week, or like the past 2 weeks mostly, up about 4x from this bottom here in February. And right now, this thing has a fully diluted valuation of 88 billion. So this is, I think, the top 4 or top 3 coin now besides Bitcoin, ETH, and USDT in terms of fully diluted valuation. but its actual valuation is like 70 times as low. So it's like hovering right above a billion. So that just shows in the short term, these things, they can go because 1 billion in the current market environment isn't that crazy. And you can easily just double it, triple it. As you can see, it just did that. But in the long term, this high fully diluted valuation means there's going to be a lot of unlocks in the future. So if you're holding these tokens, especially for the long term, be aware of like the unlocking schedules. So if there's like, let's say 20% of the supply gets unlocked in the next few months, then you might not want to hold through that. I'm not sure at the exact schedule on Rcoin, for example, but I think most coins should be out in the next 5 to 10 years or something. But please make sure to check it yourself. That means that if you're gonna hold for let's say 10 years and all the tokens will be unlocked by then, basically the supply will go like 70x from what it is now. So even if it wants to just stay the same price as it is now, it needs to get like 70 times as much inflows or capital coming into it to even sustain the current price, and then it's not even going up. So that's why most of these coins during a bear market, they will get absolutely demolished because there's no new capital to buy up all these new token unlocks. And that's why short term, these things just, they can go, and you shouldn't look at the fully diluted valuation too much. But longer term, please be careful and don't hold onto these things for years, because more often than not, especially if the market turns for the worse at some point, these things just can't keep up with all the supply. So that's something to keep in mind. One other coin, which was, I just mentioned this about the fee sharing revenue, is Lido. This was some kind of doodle I drew, I think, a few weeks ago. Seems to be working out, even though it was a bit random. But yeah, I think this can definitely benefit from both the DeFi hype or momentum now, and as well as the future fee share revenue narrative, whatever, if that goes through with Uniswap. I think coins like Lido and Blur, all these coins that have like a lot of revenue but are not really sharing anything with it, they could set to benefit, because who knows, maybe they will implement the same to stay on top. And because if they won't, you might see others do it as well. And if others do it, they might take market share from these big leaders. Whether they care or not, who knows? It will have to go through some governance proposal, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Then we have Coty, or however you want to pronounce it. We bought into this somewhere a few weeks ago, and I mentioned it. But since then, this thing has just taken off. Even just yesterday, I think I shared, or the day before, I shared about this ascending triangle, which was pretty clean. So I shared about this. Then I looked back like the next day, and we got this kind of move. So usually this kind of moves, yes, it's pretty high time frame, but I think usually you take like the high to the low, and you kind of add that to approximately get the target. But I wasn't expecting to get like over a 2x move from this breakout. But yeah, you can see, I shared a chart about this previously. We had all these previous lower highs here from the past few years. So all these levels likely also had some short stops above it, which got squeezed out and causing this massive move up. Obviously, it's a bit hot right now, and I would be careful just on the lower time frames here, because it's very volatile as we speak. Like, it's going up and down by several double-digit percentages. But yeah, I'm holding some of this, and I'm just gonna see whether it continues or not. Obviously, if you're not in this right now, just take time. It might come down a bit, and then you can get in on the dip, for example. But for now, I mean, this thing has basically broken out of like a multi-year consolidation as well. So looks good. Just gotta wait for the higher low to form at some point, as this candle has just basically been up only in the past few weeks. So let's see. And then lastly, this is something I want to bring to your attention. So I tweeted out a chart similar to this, where I was showing The moment Uniswap pumped, which you can see here is the candle chart, it took DeFi coins with it. So there are all these spaghettis up here with like Sushi, DYDX, all those coins, the DeFi coins. And before that, the AI coins were doing very well. And because of the new capital or momentum in the DeFi coins, you can see here how this previous narrative, being the DeFi coins, they started selling off straight away. So while the DeFi coins were up like 10, 20% or more, we saw like a sell-off of 10 to 20% on AI coins, and this all happened within hours. Especially if you go back a bit, you can see how the discrepancy here is kind of large, I think. Yeah, so I mean, you can clearly see how one moves into the other. Some people took this as me being bearish on AI, which I'm not at all. Like, these coins have been doing very well and they still look amazing on the higher time frames. All I wanted to do is kind of show how sometimes you get these short rotations and they might last for a few hours or a few days. But usually when something new pops up, the previously hot thing tends to suffer a bit from that, because it's mostly the same people rotating from one hot thing into the next. And in the current market environment, we just don't have enough liquidity or buying power to pump all these narratives at the same time. So and one kind of replaces the other, even if it's just for like a few hours, you tend to see a sell-off in the other thing. So let's see how it did since the pump until now. Zoom out all the way. I think you can kind of see here how these things mostly are inversely correlated. So up here you can see DeFi coins going up until about, like, let's say the Saturday morning here, the 24th of February. So these are mostly at their highest point here, while AI is at its lowest. Since then, DeFi coins started falling a bit, while AI coins started moving back up. And you can see here, I mean, they're kind of all going sideways now, but most of these have kind of moved back. So from this top on Saturday, we saw DeFi kind of coming down back a bit, while AI coins recovered, and now it's a bit more mixed. But obviously after this pump, DeFi is a bit higher still, but most AI coins already retraced most of their losses from earlier. So I just wanted to show this to show how these correlations and these rotations work within the market, because this tends to happen a lot. And when you're quick and you see some kind of new narrative being formed and the entire sector being pumped up, like DeFi, for example, which all came off the back of that Uniswap proposal, then sometimes if you're quick, you can be like, okay, this thing is hot, everything is pumping there. If you're early, you can try to get a long in or anything like that, but or get a buy-in. But it's very often can be profitable as well to then just short the previously hot thing, as people are likely going to sell out of it to buy the new thing. So that's something to consider, and something I thought was worth noting. With that, I'm going to end it off right here. I hope you all have a great week ahead, and yeah, take care. Good luck with the trades.